The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson is one of the most influential self-help books of the past decade, with over 10 million copies sold worldwide and translations into more than 50 languages. Its massive success can be attributed not only to its provocative title, but also to its groundbreaking message that challenges conventional self-improvement wisdom. The book has become a cultural phenomenon, reshaping how people think about personal growth, happiness, and emotional resilience. Readers from all walks of life, from entrepreneurs to artists, have praised its straightforward, no-nonsense approach to dealing with life's inevitable challenges. By rejecting the constant pressure for positivity and instead advocating for embracing discomfort, the book has sparked conversations in personal development circles, inspiring a shift away from superficial motivational content toward a more honest and balanced philosophy of self-acceptance and growth. This summary explores the book's key insights, lessons, and strategies that have made it so impactful for millions worldwide. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is a groundbreaking book that challenges the conventional self-help narrative of relentless positivity and the pursuit of constant happiness. Unlike typical personal development books, which promote avoiding discomfort and focusing solely on positive thinking, Manson argues that true fulfillment comes from embracing life's challenges, limitations, and pain. His central thesis is straightforward, yet powerful. You can't control everything in life, but you can control which problems you're willing to face. Rather than chasing an ideal life free from difficulties, Manson emphasizes the importance of choosing struggles that align with your values and personal growth. He critiques the modern obsession with success, amplified by social media, where people constantly compare themselves to others, leading to increased anxiety and dissatisfaction. One of the book's core concepts is the backward law, inspired by the philosopher Alan Watts, which suggests that the more you chase happiness, the more you reinforce feelings of lacking it. Manson explains that the constant pursuit of self-improvement often amplifies a sense of inadequacy rather than resolving it. He gives the example of people who obsess over confidence, only to become more insecure by constantly focusing on their perceived flaws. True growth, he argues, happens when we stop avoiding discomfort and instead choose which challenges are worth facing. He introduces the concept of limited attention resources, explaining that our emotional and mental energy is finite. Wasting it on insignificant concerns like social media validation or minor inconveniences drains the capacity for dealing with truly important matters. Manson encouraged the reader to stop caring about everything and instead focus on values and challenges that bring long-term fulfillment rather than superficial validation. A central message of the book is that suffering is inevitable, and that's okay. Manson argues that pain and discomfort are essential parts of life, not mistakes to be avoided. Trying to eliminate pain often leads to greater suffering. He reframes the idea of suffering as a necessary component of growth, explaining that we should focus on choosing which forms of suffering we're willing to endure for personal growth. For example, he shares the story of Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps, who achieved greatness not by avoiding discomfort, but by enduring years of physical pain and emotional stress during training, all for a goal that deeply mattered to him. Manson emphasizes that many people want the results, success, wealth, happiness without being willing to endure the struggle that comes with them. He critiques the modern self-help industry for selling the idea of effortless success, arguing that this mindset creates unrealistic expectations and leaves people disillusioned when real challenges arise. The key, he argues, is to choose your problems wisely. Since struggles are unavoidable, personal growth comes from facing those that align with your values, like the sacrifices made when starting a business, raising a family, or mastering a craft. On the other hand, suffering caused by chasing societal expectations or seeking constant approval lacks meaningful purpose. Happiness, according to Manson, isn't the absence of problems, but the presence of meaningful challenges you're willing to endure. Radical personal responsibility is another central concept in the book. Manson emphasizes that personal growth begins when we take full responsibility for our choices. emotions and reactions, regardless of the circumstances. While we can't control external events, we have complete control over how we respond to them. He explains the difference between blame and responsibility. Blame focuses on external factors, while responsibility is about owning your reactions and behaviors. For instance, he shares the story of Steve Jobs, who was fired from Apple early in his career. Instead of blaming others, Jobs took responsibility for his personal development and went on to found Pixar, later returning to Apple to transform it into one of the most successful companies in the world. This principle also applies to personal relationships. Manson highlights that while we can't control how others behave, we can control how we respond emotionally. For example, someone in a toxic relationship can choose how to set boundaries and respond rather than simply blaming the other person. He further explains that avoiding personal responsibility often leads to emotional dependence, where people expect others to fix their problems instead of taking charge of their own lives. Responsibility, Manson asserts, is not about fault. It's about recognizing that we have the power to shape our experiences through the choices we make. The book also explores the dangers of false values and external validation. Manson critiques the widespread obsession with wealth, fame, and social status, arguing that these external measures of success often lead to emotional instability. He shares the story of Dave Mustaine, who was fired from Metallica and later founded the band Megadeth. Despite massive success, Mustaine continued to feel like a failure because his self-worth was tied to comparing himself to his former bandmates' success. In contrast, Mark Twain is used as an example of someone who found fulfillment not in public recognition, but in the creative process itself. Manson stresses that genuine values should be based on internal growth and personal integrity rather than approval from others. He introduces the idea of stable values, those that you can control and are tied to personal growth, such as honesty, self-respect, and learning from mistakes. Unstable values, like popularity or financial success, depend too heavily on external factors and lead to emotional instability because they are impossible to fully control. He urges readers to shift their focus from external achievements to internal values that create lasting satisfaction. Manson also highlights failure as a tool for personal development. He argues that fearing failure is counterproductive, as it often prevents people from taking meaningful risks or pursuing personal growth. Instead of seeing failure as a personal flaw, he reframes it as feedback that provides valuable lessons for improvement. He uses the example of Thomas Edison, who famously failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, to emphasize how repeated setbacks often lead to success. Manson encouraged readers to stop avoiding failure and instead see it as part of the learning process. He explains that by embracing failure, people become more resilient and open to personal growth, while avoiding failure only leads to stagnation and fear. A profound theme in the book is mortality awareness, the recognition that life is finite. Manson introduces the philosophical concept of memento mori, Latin for remember you will die, emphasizing how reflecting on mortality can clarify priorities and reduce the significance of trivial worries. He shares a personal story of losing a close friend, which forced him to reevaluate his life priorities and focus more on meaningful relationships and personal growth rather than superficial accomplishments. By accepting the reality of death, people can break free from the pressure to seek constant approval and instead focus on making the most of their limited time. Manson also explores the power of saying no and setting boundaries as essential skills for emotional well-being. He argues that many people spread themselves too thin trying to please everyone, which leads to emotional burnout and diluted focus. He highlights Warren Buffett's principle of focus, where Buffett emphasizes the importance of saying no to anything that doesn't align with long-term goals. Manson encouraged readers to be selective with their commitments and learn to prioritize their emotional bandwidth for relationships, goals, and experiences that align with their values. In conclusion, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a FCK offers a radical and thought-provoking perspective on happiness, success, and personal growth. Mark Manson dismantles the myth of constant positivity, urging readers to embrace discomfort, take radical responsibility for their lives, and focus on values that truly matter. His core message is that life will always involve challenges, and true fulfillment comes from facing meaningful struggles rather than avoiding them. The book serves as a powerful reminder that happiness is not about avoiding pain, but choosing which pain is worth enduring for personal growth and self-fulfillment. Thank you for watching this summary. If you found value in this in-depth breakdown of the subtle art of not giving FCK, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this video with others who may benefit from these insights. Let us know which other books you'd like us to summarize next.